This is Julian Plumley from Endoxa Learning. Endoxa Learning visualizes arguments to help people improve their critical thinking skills. This is a short video to explain some of the cognitive science background to our product. I'm actually going to use the product to argue for itself. Here we are on the first stage of an Endoxa Learning lesson. The argument is developed in the center of the screen using a diagram called an argument graph. This blue box is a statement. It means exactly what it says. High cognitive load limits learning. If you want to know more, you click on the brain box. You get more information about cognitive load theory, and in this case, you get a link to one of our articles about it. Here is the first full step of this argument. Arguments in Endoxa Learning go from top to bottom. At the top, we have two premises, one of which we've seen already. Here is a new premise. Arguments written in prose have a high cognitive load. The premises combine to give a conclusion. Arguments should not be written in prose. The premises and the conclusion are linked by an argument type box. This explains what kind of reasoning is going on in this argument step. This step is an argument from value. If you click on this box, you can see what are called critical questions. These are ways in which each type of argument can be either supported or undermined. For example, for this value argument, you have the question, is it possible to replace prose for arguments? These critical questions help you develop your thinking. But this statement needs more support. Why does argumentative prose have a high cognitive load? Let's look at an example. This is about 300 words of typical essay-style prose on the subject of continental drift. But where is the argument? You cannot see it because the sentences which form part of the argument look just the same as those that perform other functions, such as supporting facts or context. So you have to find it within the prose. Nor does the prose show the structure of the argument. The reader has to construct it for themselves while they are reading. These are the two main reasons why argumentative prose imposes a high cognitive load. It is a lot of work to find the argument and figure out how it works. And this is even harder for people with special educational needs such as dyslexia. The conclusion of the previous argument step becomes a premise of the next step. Here it is. And a new premise has been introduced. Arguments can be presented either in prose or using dual coding. There is more information about dual coding and a link to our article on it. These two premises give us our next conclusion. Arguments should be dual coded. And here is the final step of the argument. Arguments should be dual coded, so Endoxa Learning uses dual coding to present arguments, splitting the information in the argument between the words in the statements and the graphical structure of the boxes and arrows. And that's the final conclusion. That's what we do. Let's look back at the continental drift example. Here is a short argument graph of this argument. It takes about 30 words to explain the argument. That's 10 times less than the prose. The rest of the information is still reachable by clicking on the brain icons, and the structure of the argument is made clear by the diagram. Here is a summary of the whole argument. It's all based on cognitive load theory and how dual coding can help reduce cognitive load while you study and create arguments. That's all, and thank you for listening.